Okay, so we can continue our talks on Samyak state. And Sanyam is the Samyak state in action. Sanyam is where it relates to your senses, and the sense organs keep on rebelling. It could keep on asking for different objects, people, situations. Our mind keeps on rotating, hovering around all the time. And the samyak state is a state where the thoughts do not exist, but sanyam is basically utilization of that samyak state onto your senses. We have to face it. We do need senses. We cannot do without senses. We have to live in a real world. We have to use our five senses to operate. But at the same time, how we operate, that's the most important thing. Because if you operate without being in a samyak state, the senses will be controlling you. Arjun will be the driver of the chariot. Krishna will not be there. So to be in a Krishna state, Krishna consciousness state, is again all the big entities wherever they're talking about, they're all talking about the same thing. So all these differences that we have created are only at the stupid, at the mind level. At the highest level, there are no differences. All the religions talk the same thing. So Samyak state is the description given by Mahavir. And that's one word you have to come out of it, the Mahavir's teaching. So the question is that Samyak state, how can we reach there? And what are the obstacles? Some of the things we already talked about in meditation. And again, another views are given by Mahavir. And the same thing, because our mind keeps on going after the objects, people, and situation. And why does it do that? Why do we have to act? We feel lot of times we feel that we are compelled to act. Compelled to act is a very complex process. It's not as simple as think, oh, I wanted to do it, so I did it. I'm not gonna want. It's not that simple. A lot of your thoughts are not under your control. You will realize when you meditate that thoughts just come. You don't even have a control on it. So it's a very complex system that is operating at the mind level that includes your vasanas and vrittis and what you did last time, last day, or the day before, or last year, or last month, or last life. All these things play a very intricate role in bringing out the thoughts that are coming out into your mind right now. So your connections go very deep, and also whatever you think right now, we have a lot of futuristic connections also. So that's again, in nutshell, is your karma theory. So whatever you do, you're gonna pay the price for it, and whatever you did before, you're already paying the price for it right now. And that's why eating the raw food and all those things come in handy, because if you eat unhealthy food today, there is a good chance that you're gonna want that tomorrow. Your mind is gonna be restless, and that's how the cycle keeps on repeating itself. We think that what's the big deal? I had a talk with another friend, his wife, said, asking me, he says, what's this meditation is all about? Why don't you drink? What's the big deal? He said, well, I said, you will never understand until you actually meditate how the vibrations affect your samyak state, how the shunya state becomes one, and then two, and before you know it becomes million and billion number of thoughts that come. See, I had I had a sip of wine. What happened? Nothing happened. She will never know. Mahavir's stress is on happening at the mind level. Mahavir says whether you carried out the action or not, it doesn't matter. Mahavir says, did you think about carrying out an action? That's more important. Whether you actually eat the bad food or not is not that important. Did you think about the bad food or not? That's where the battleground is. The battleground is not outside. Outside, you can fool anybody. You can fast for the whole day and go home and then eat up a storm. And he says, oh, my wife doesn't eat anything. My husband hardly eats anything. But look at him. Yeah, you watch everything. How come you're so overweight? Obviously. So actions, you can fool everybody. Thoughts, you cannot fool. So the real test comes in meditation. What kind of thoughts you're getting? How many thoughts you're getting? How much they're really bothering you? So the stability at the mind level is what is required. Mind is not your enemy. Mind is very useful. And when you say in meditation, you destroy your mind, that's a wrong concept. You can never destroy your mind because mind is you. You are the energy. And when that energy turns into thoughts, that turns into a mind. But it's still you. When you go into the samyak state and then experience just shunyata, thoughts disappear. Doesn't mean the mind has disappeared. You have chosen to remain non active. You have chosen because your thoughts were running after acquiring the objects or people or situation. You have realized for the first time that shunya state is so beautiful that you would rather be in this state. It is your choice. If the choice you're making is to remain in a shunya state and not think, so that energy vibrations just quiet down. It's like somebody is running and he decides to stop running. You cannot say that he got rid of his running. Running was part of him. Mind is part of us. Body is part of us. If you really go into the widest, and the biggest infinite scale at the shunya state, nothing remains. Body is nothing but condensation of the energy, E equal to mc square. So when you really become the shunya state, purnamada purnamidam, the whole thing involved, everything becomes part of it. So that purnamada state is the shunyata state, where all these thoughts disappear, all your beliefs that this is me and the body, I am the shunya state and body is a solid. There is nothing like that. There is only one. And that one is what you have to experience. So that's the samyak state. The question is why the mind keeps going after that. The reason is because mind has no other place to go. Mind thinks because mind is stupid. No matter how much we believe in the mind, we think that mind is so smart. It's still stupid compared to the spiritual existence because mind was created from that spiritual existence. Any creation cannot be more powerful than the creator himself. So we can never compete with God. Again, you and the God are not two separate things. For Mahavir, Atma is Paramatma. So once you find the Atma, that's where you become Paramatma. So the lack of knowledge of the mind is the cause why we keep on going after the objects. Even though they are short lasting, we keep on going thinking that we can have this, we can acquire this, we can hoard this, keep it forever. This is all Maya. This is all illusion that we're living by. And because of that illusion, we keep on going because we don't know who we are. So all we have to do is give mind somewhere to rest. Say they said the mind is a product of highest entity that universe can have is the consciousness. Consciousness created the mind. Mind is good that it does not rest peacefully. Supposing you got something that you liked and you become totally content with it, then, and there are people, because of their foolishness, they think that this is it. I don't have to do anything else. But somewhere along the line, the restlessness starts. Even after acquiring billions of dollars, Mark Zuckerberg has said there has to be something better than that. So when you go to that, and why is mind so restless? Because it is a product of consciousness, almighty consciousness. It will not feel good until it is given the proper sihasan. The proper place for the mind to rest is the shunyata. And shunyata is where it's going to rest. So we have to offer that sihasan, which is the highest possible place where mind can rest. So all we have to do is find that shunyata, and then the mind will start quieting down, because mind knows that it has achieved that infinite status. That why does it have to go after the small petty things, something that's going to go away anyway, including the body, including the mind itself. The activity of the mind is going to be useless. So the shunyata is the realization that activity doesn't mean anything. That's why meditation is called non-doing. But mind keeps on going after. I had heard a beautiful example. Once there was a sadhvi visiting from Himalayas, and she came to Sanatan temple. She gave a very beautiful example. She says, we have a lot of monkeys where they are in Rishikesh, they have ashram there. And they have a lot of monkeys, and the monkeys keep on stealing things from the ashram, all the fruits and mithais and all those things. So they didn't want to kill the monkeys, they were non-violent people. So he said, we got to do something. So they came with a very beautiful idea. They had a coconut shells and they put some sweet or a piece of banana inside and they left it there. So now the monkey comes to grab that banana, the hand goes in, now he has the banana in his hand, so the hand is expanded and the hole is too small for the hand to come out, so he keeps on walking around. And we all are like that. We hold on to the material things and they say, we cannot come out, we cannot come out. The coming out is in our hands. When we loosen the grip on the matter, spirituality flows. Spirituality has been flowing for millions of years. It's what created the universe. So it's never going to deny your entry into the spiritual world. You can enter it, just we have to stop being a monkey. We have to become a human being. So that giving up of the material possessions and giving up the idea that you are the mind and you are the body, that feels like a death. And that death is not acceptable because we want to live. Because we have seen only one life where we can acquire things, hoard things, enjoy this, all those things. So we are so attached to the life like the monkeys, we don't want to die. And that, but Gorakhnath, which was one of the most pioneer in the original scriptures and then spirituality, was one of the pioneers. He said that Ismarni maro, jismarni gorakh mardik ditha. You die only once, Mahamrutyu. The real Mrutyu is not of your body because you are not the body. Real death is also not of the mind. If somebody comes and insults you and you feel so bad like that you got insulted, this and that, kill the mind that's making you upset. The mind is not necessary, meaning the activity and thinking of the matter is not necessary, because mind is an instrument that is used to think about the material world, material thoughts, material acquisitions, different projects, this and that. So when you walk away from the mind, that's the real death. So you die only once, and once you die, there is no coming back. The idea of being in that state is a beautiful state, it is a beautiful idea, and then it's a concept that you follow, and then little by little you can reach there. Give you an example. If you are in a room, there is a 5-year-old, there is 9-year-old, and then you, and there is a balloon. The 5-year-old wants that balloon. 9-year-old would not give it to him because he's older, he's physically stronger, he can get away with it. So both are fighting. The 5-year-old is crying. So you as an adult, you do what you think is the best. You go to the 5-year-old and they say, okay, you have to give it to your brother. So 5-year-old does not want to give up, but he has to give up because more threatening personality has come into picture. So he gives it up and he gives it to the 9-year-old. So now 9-year-old is happy. He's playing around with the balloon. After a while, 45 minutes, an hour, he gets fed up. He walks away, he tosses it away. He leaves the room. 5-year-old meanwhile says he's not gonna get the balloon. He left the room already. Now it's just you and the balloon. What do you care about the balloon? You say, what do I care? It just sits there. I don't have anything to do with this balloon. So the 5-year-old is like 80-90% of the world population. They want things. They desire things. They will do anything. They will go to any extreme to acquire things. There are about 10-20% of the people, they think that I have to give up. I should give up. They have to give up. They do give up, but at the mind level, they cannot give up. They give up dairy products. They will give up meats. They will do this. They will do that to bring their cholesterol down. But at the mind level, it's still active. Mind has desires. Mahavir's battle is not outside. Mahavir's battle at the mind level. Only 1 or 2% are the real adults. They realize there is no importance of playing with a balloon. Played enough. Enough is enough. Now I have better things to do. So 5-year-olds are sansaris. 9-year-olds are yogis. They're trying. And adults are the sannyasis, where they have realized the stupidity of dealing with this sansar. There is nothing to it. No matter how much you acquire, you get fed up. All the senses will make you fed up. Eventually, if you really pay attention to it, if you become wise enough to understand and you develop that intellect within you, Vivek Buddhi within you, you will realize and you will see the repetitious nature, whether it is your food, is it alcohol or drugs or a human being. We had a party on December 31st. My brother-in-law came. He was very attached to my father, right? And every time there is a singing function, him and my father, they really sang very well and they enjoyed. And even on the way, he was crying. He says, I even don't even feel like coming to the house because then it will give me a memory of your father. And then literally when he came and saw me at the house, he broke down. He said, Shanik bhai, I miss Jeepa. I said, Viru bhai, that was a dream. Sure, it was a beautiful dream, but nevertheless, it was a dream. All the material things continuously change. Everything changes, including your mind and your own body. We want things forever attached. We want it forever. You cannot. Dreams have to go at some point. At some point, you have to wake up. There is only the present moment. And somehow it hit him. And then he enjoyed for the whole evening. He said, otherwise I was looking at a very dismal for whole 31st evening. So it's just all these attachments is what make us suffer. And when we start equating those things to the dreams, that's when the realization happens. But it cannot happen until you have realized the reality. The reality which is unchanging. It is permanent and omnipotent, omnipresent, sarvagnya, sarvada. That feeling of that shunyata state which can never get old, which has no shape, no size, no color, na chedanti sastrani, no dahati pavaka, fire cannot burn it, shastras cannot kill it, na cha kledyanti apo, water cannot moisten it, na sosyati maruddaha, dry wind cannot dry it. That's the state Krishna is talking about. That's where we all should be. That's how, with the Samyak state of Mahavir and Krishna consciousness, we can look at the whole world, and then the whole world becomes a play. It's nothing but like a dream. Dreams come. Are dreams real? Kind of. They do come. It's a phenomenon, right? You see in the dreams, whether go to Switzerland or win $1 million, once you wake up, you realize it was not real. But when you are watching the dreams, it's real. And dreams do come. So the world is kind of real, but not real. But that reality, we have to go one step backward and realize the existence of our soul. Vivekananda gives in a different perspective to the whole thing. He says, imagine, say, there is a palace, and there is a king living in the palace, and there is a mouse who is walking around in the palace at night. He runs around, roams around. All of a sudden, he ends up in a kitchen, which is full of gourmet dishes, sweets and fruits and all kinds of delicacies sitting there. Mouse is having a wonderful time. He's going after this, he's jumping around, being so happy. But continuously, his mind is at the door and makes sure that nobody walks in. As soon as somebody walks in, he runs away, right? But then he comes back because he's continuously. And then imagine the same kitchen, the king enters. And king says, this is all mine. I can eat whenever I want to. If I don't want to eat, I won't eat. I will eat at my own will. So it's not that you don't drink. It's not that you don't eat. It's not that you don't love people. You love at your own will with a total self-composed state of shunyata. So you love fully, but knowing that this also may not last. When you do that, that's when, for the first time, the wisdom is rising in your mind. So Osho says the same thing. There are only two kinds of people. One which are beggars, one which are emperors. Either you are an emperor, then you say, okay, everything is there, but it's only temporary. I don't have to have it, But if I have it, I'll consume it, no problem. But that enjoyment is also living in that moment. The moment it passes, what was that? Nothing. That alcohol, that sweet dish, that gulab jamun, if it stays in your head longer than the time that you consume, then you are attached to it. Two simple things, right? Sanyam is where you are totally self composed. You are Atmavan. Your Atma becomes your body. You give up your body, Atma becomes your body. You are a walking around Shunyata. Simple. And when you are walking around in that Shunyata, the body and the mind should give you the least amount of discomfort. Then only you can rise. The least amount of discomfort that comes from your body, then you have a chances you can go into the Samadhi state. Otherwise, your body and the mind are continuously going to create the demands for you. So, whether you're running towards the food, you are asanyami, of course. But also, when you did enough of that and now you're running in the other direction, you do fasting. No, I have to do Jenny Craig. I have to do Weight Watchers. I'm going to do gastric bypass and this and that. Whether you're going in that direction, you also think of food. So, Mahavir says, rag, which is the attachment for the food, or anything to that matter, or vairagya or virag, rag or virag, they both are involvement in the sansar. The food is brought to you by the sansar. There is only one food that is not brought to you by sansar, is the food that was created by God. Raw food, fruits, vegetables, salads, they existed even before the sansar was created, even before the human beings were created. That food pre-exists you. Under that settings you were created. And then you come into the picture. You stay at that level, you can stay in the samyak state. So Mahavir has a new word, it's called vitarag. No rag, positive or negative. Either one is not good. Because then your mind is continuously thinking either to walk towards the food or walk away from the food, but the mind is alive. And for Mahavir, until the mind dies, samyak state does not happen. So we had gone to India, right? The Chardham Yatra. So we went to one of the Nainital resort. It's a beautiful place. And normally I don't drink, right? So that night, we had a long journey. We came by the car, and now the resort was so beautiful. The music was going on, and we was with Bakul Bhai, and he says, "You want to order a wine?" I said, "Okay, let's have it," right? But then lady said, no, we don't want to have it. Let's go to the marketplace. I said, okay, then go. But then somebody, desire sprang up. Said, no, let's go. I said, no, that moment is gone. That was the moment was right for to have it. Now, even 2 minutes later, it's not for me anymore. So, attachment is what creates the problem. So, you can live from the moment to moment without getting attached. So, same thing, either you run towards the money or you want to donate the money. Either way, you want to be known, because mind wants to be known. That's the only way you know the mind exists. First, you're making money and you're teaching 10 other people how to make money. You reach to the top and now you want to donate. Now, instead of 10, you want 100 people to know that you donated. Either way, mind feels good. But there is no death of the mind. You donate as if you did not. If you really are donating at the mind level, why think about it? What's the big deal? If you did not think the money was that important, why think about it? And why think about it? Why make everybody else think about your donations? What's the big deal? So the sansar, which is remaining active at the mind level, sansar never dies. And sansar is not outside. Sansar is in your head. Is the part of your mind, part and parcel of your mind. Mind wants to stay alive, one way or the other. So those are the tricks of the mind. But when these tricks you realize in meditative state, that's when the mind starts taking lesser and lesser role. You say, what's the big deal? Am I stupid or what? So wherever our mind is attached is what we're gonna think about. If I talk to my grandson, he is talking about nursery rhymes and the toys. For him, That's where his mind is attached. I don't see anything in it. The same way, somebody who is fully in sansar, if you talk to them, you're never gonna know because they've never been there. They haven't tested the taste of shunyata. So how can they even talk about it? You are singled out. You go into the whole party and you may not find even one person who talks your language. But so be it. That makes you so special. Lao Tse always said that not many people understand me, which makes me feel good. He says, that's where I feel special, that I am one of the rarest people that have tasted the shunyata. So that's where we want to be. So Sanyam, Mahavir puts it as a bridge between your soul. Ahimsa, non-violence, is the soul of dharma. And then Sanjamo Taho. Sanjamo is Sanyam, which is the bridge, like prana, like a breath. Like we have a soul, we have a prana through the breath coming in, and then we have a body. Body is the tap. But the main connection between your soul and the body is your prana. There is another reason Mahavir calls it the prana, because of the breathing. The breathing techniques. Mahavir says that everything that you do in life should be samyak. Samyak vichar means you think when you have to think. Samyak ahar, eat because you have to eat for your body. You think when you have to think. Samyak love, you love properly, you do not become excessive attachment, and at the same time you don't hate people either. You love everyone, but love knowing that everything can perish. So your love remains in a samyak, well-balanced state all the time. At that time, you are not running towards and making friends, not realizing that every time you choosing friends, you also choosing your enemies. And when I say that, okay, I like this group of people, that because they talk the same language as me, we are not realizing that I'm also already created another set of friends that could have been my friends, because they are not doing what I like to do. I like to hang out with this crowd, I hate that other crowd. Every time you make friends, you're making enemies. In your mind. I'm not saying in a social way, but you creating compartments. That's another trick of your mind. It automatically does that. Mind is always creates two opposites. And that's the job of the mind. The dualistic life is the creation of the mind. So mind never does only one thing. Mind will never see the world complete. Because mind is not complete. Mind has its own limitations. So mind can never see complete. The completeness comes only at the shunya state. So at shunya state, everybody, everything, every creature, even a piece of rock is your friend. The being friend to the world, or being a parent to the world, as we teach in retreat, is universal. It doesn't have to be your children. It could be anybody's children. A piece of rock, you treat it with respect. A shoes, you treat with respect. There was a famous story on a German guy who comes and meets one of the Mahatma, and he wanted to get a spiritual training, but he was kind of running late. And he comes and the door comes in the way. He curses. And then he comes in and bows down to the sannyasi. Sannyasi says, no, go back. Bow down to the door because you cursed to the door. The problem, there is nothing with the door. The problem is at the mind level. You are divided. You differentiating between the door and the sannyasi. You have to have a respect for everything. But we do that. Pen breaks down. We curse it and throw it away. These are the tricks of the mind. This is the life lived at the mind level. When you're the same way, he's saying that samyak breath, the breath also, during the sexual activity, our breaths, number of breaths go up. In meditation, the breaths go down. Why? In day-to-day life, we always get excited. I have a lot of patients come to my office. They're literally panting just because I'm there. And the pressure goes up, heart rate goes up. And then as soon as they go home, everything is fine. So that's how we perceive. We don't even have control on our breath. And theoretically, we are not supposed to have control on the state. But when you are in a samyak state, you breathe because you have to breathe. That's all. Nothing more and nothing less. When there is a fear, you suddenly hold your breath because you are thinking of future. You are afraid of something that, okay, my next breath is going to bring the next moment, and in the next moment, I'm going to have something fearful. I don't want to breathe. You freeze. So that's how our mind controls our breathing. But in a samyak state, you breathe just as much as you need to breathe. So that's why Mahavir says that prana is another manifestation of breathing technique that we have. So samyak breathing also is that important. So the problem is the dual world is created by the duality. And we don't want to walk away from this world. We want to see the things which are interesting. CNN is full of so-called interesting things. If somebody murders somebody, then it's in the front page. If somebody did something good, you may have to search to find it. The headlines are always created by the people who are asanyami people. These are the people.
They want attention.
Right. So people who are in a samyak state, they don't have to be noticed. Their ego is so dormant that they don't care at the end of the party if whether somebody even really noticed them or not. But people want to be noticed. So they want fame, and if they don't get fame, they suffer. And when they say that, oh, I'm not getting any fame anymore, they put a Bhagwa Kapra and go to sannyas. And they also want to make sure everybody knows that. So, I mean, we were in Chardham, right? So, near the Gangotri, yeah, in Gangotri, that's where all they can get the water from Mansarovar and all this. So there is one sadhu, he's sitting there, and he's in a small cave right next to that. His whole body was covered with ashes and all that. But he was checking himself whether he looks right or not. if you really didn't, at one extreme, you wanted to look the best. I'm the best dressed person in the party, so everybody talks about me. But now he has gone to extreme opposite, but he wants to make sure that he looks sadhu enough so that people can come and bow down to him. So even when you have decided to give up the clothes and you have a langoti and you have a rakhia all over, but you want to make sure that makeup is done correct. You were doing makeup before. Might as well just put a shirt and tie and look good. So our mind plays the tricks like that. So if Ravan was not there, the Ramayana would not have happened. Supposing the Ram was the only king around and he had done the most beautiful things, he probably would not have been talking about it until Ravan came into the picture. So that's how the stories are created. So the real hero of Ramayana is not Ram, but Ravan, right? So that's how the life goes. Mahavir's life was like a clean paper. Whatever happens, it happens. Same thing Jesus, if you look at the life story of Jesus, we have the knowledge where he was born as a carpenter and he was playing with the toys, wooden toys and all that. But then for 30 years, there was nothing. The history does not talk about for 30 years until he was 33. And then later on, he was crucified and spreading the knowledge and all those things. So for 30 years, he remained literally, because these are the people who have reached to the samyak state, so they may not do anything. Samyak state is an achievement within. And you become non-performer. You're not an actor. You're not doing anything. You're not rebellion either. Either you're not a political hero or you're not a rebellion fighting against the politics. Whatever it is, but people do not have to be knowing them if you're in a samyak state. So for 30 years, there is no story. And even when Jesus was in a samyak state and he was crucified, that showed the effect of a Sanyami mind of the people who could not tolerate him. Jesus had nothing to do with it. He says, fine, you want to crucify me? I'm okay with that too. For him, it was a total acceptance. Lao Tse describes to be in a samyak state, in a Tao state, is where total acceptance of the universal forces. Krishna says, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Mahavir says, non-violence. I do not have to react to the outside situation, because any situation is fine with me. If Mahavir's life was like a clean paper and people came and put the nails in his ears, that was the event in the people's lives, not in his life. For him, he just went through that without any complaints. So that's how we look at the life. And that's where you remain in a samyak state 24/7. Because when you donate and you want to be known, that shows that inside there is a greed present. First it was a greed of the money, and now there is a greed of the fame, how much you donated. So either way, because any action that is carried out at the mind level, there will be always some background. Mind never does without any reason. So it's like writing on a blackboard. You have to have a white chalk. You cannot write it with the black chalk because nobody will notice. Same way, when you're donating, deep inside you have a greed for something. And that in the background, it shows that you're trying to get a benefit out of something. A precious thing like donation, if you could have donated at the mind level, it would have been something. See, there are 4 donations that you need to know. First is the money. Money is the least or the lowest of the lowest donation you can give, because it goes without any attachment. The purpose of money can be totally different. There is nothing written on a dollar bill what the other person can do, right? But then it starts getting subtle, more subtle. So the lowest is the money. Second is the time. If you realize we are still in the material plane, we are using the four dimensions, right? So money being a 3-dimension structure, you're giving it up, right? So you're still in samsara. So, and you feel good that I gave the money. But that guy turns around and use it for whatever he wants to do. He can buy a booze or drugs or whatever. You feel good that you donated, but there is no further effect on the samsara. The second is the time, where you actually donate your time. Now you're adding one more dimension. So you sit down with your children and do the homework with them. Children don't care how much money dad is going to leave, but if they remember how much time you played with him, how much time you spent time with them doing the homework, and you took interest in their life, that's more important. Now we are ascending higher. And third thing is the donation of something that you really like, and you give up at the mind level. I mean, really give up. Say father is doing gutka, and suddenly he realizes that if I get oral cancer, my children will suffer. My wife will become a widow. That's not fair. So for someone else, you're giving up something that you are holding on to. So now we are becoming more and more subtle. So from 4 dimensions, we're coming to the mind. Mind is still part of the 4 dimension, because mind knows only of the matter. And the mind is still playing at the 4-dimensional level. But the highest donation is the donation of knowledge. And I'm not saying knowledge of engineering, or that's still you're playing in the knowledge of the spiritual self. The highest truth that is possible, that is given, is the spiritual knowledge. If you give that to someone, that's the highest gift you can give it to someone else. But for that, you have to be there. And for you to be there, you need to meditate in 2016. So much for today.
There you
Thank
go.
you. Bye.